It's the moment we've all been waiting for, and of course, it's delivered by Wyatt Johnston. He scores the overtime winner. Stars win Game 3 by a final score of 3-2, and Dallas is right back in this series. Let's discuss this thriller next on Locked On Stars.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Wow, wow, wow. What an incredible hockey game we just witnessed against the Vegas Golden Knights and Dallas Stars, and Wyatt Johnston goes upstairs where mama hides the cookies on Logan Thompson, and the Stars take Game 3 by a final score of 3-2 in overtime. They now trail in the series 2-1, and they're right back in it. Playoff hockey is not for the weak. What a hockey game, Stars fans, and happy that the Stars are on top. Man, so much goodness to get into on today's episode. We're just past 1 o'clock Central Standard Time in the morning as I'm recording this right off of that electric Game 3 win for the Dallas Stars, and that would have been a demoralizing loss. I'll be completely honest. I'm happy the Stars are on top, but fortunately, we do not have to talk about that. Only good vibes on today's episode, which is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side and is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play Store. It was a dominant performance for the first 30 minutes of the hockey game for the Dallas Stars. And then all of a sudden, it turned on its head, and Vegas had somehow tied the game at 2, and it stayed that way into overtime. But credit to Dallas for battling through it. They battled through the adversity, they battled through injuries, and they just continued to grind and battle it out, and eventually they needed a hero, and it had to be Wyatt Johnston. Wyatt effing Johnston. He's done it all year long. Leave it to the Stars' leading scorer in the regular season to get the job done. A sensational shot on Logan Thompson, who was brilliant in the game. He was the only reason it was in overtime, because Dallas should have won this game 6-2, should have won it 6-0, to be completely honest. But they have a flair for the dramatic. The Dallas Stars are never going to make it easy, and Dallas may have just changed the complexion of this entire series. I said it yesterday. You win today, you put the pressure right back on Vegas. They don't want to be down 2-2, or at least go into Game 4 or Game 5, being tied at 2. You put the pressure on them. They win the first 2 games on the road, and now you win this grueling overtime game. You win Game 4, man, anything can happen the rest of the way. And at points in the game, it felt like maybe it's just not meant to be. Maybe it's not the Stars' year, because they just were dominating the game, shift after shift, chance after chance. They outchanced the Golden Knights 36-12 in the first 2 periods, and somehow it's a tie hockey game heading into the third. That is hockey at its finest, and it was a backbreaker when Jack Eichel tied the game on his shorthanded chance at 2, and it just felt like, what do the Dallas Stars have to do? But credit to them, and credit to Wyatt Johnston. And I spoke about it too for a large portion of yesterday's episode and Thursday's, just who's going to have the moment, who's going to step up and have the moment. And it's Wyatt Johnston. He starts the scoring, and of course he delivers the overtime winner. He came into the game without a point in the series, and it's the young guy, the 20-year-old that is getting the job done. He played incredible along with his line mates, Rope Hintz and Jason Robertson. I have to say, to be completely honest, looking at the trios heading into game 3, I was not a huge fan of them. I really wanted Maverick Bourque to be in the game, but hey, I digress after watching that first period because Dallas was buzzing. I mean, all 4 lines were buzzing. Great to see Craig Smith back in the lineup. And you get a sense for the depth that the Stars can have when they play like that. And they were able to stretch out the Vegas defense. They were able to attack off the rush. And one of my keys in the game was being more liberal with their shooting. Throw pucks on net. Force Thompson to be great. And he was heroic. I mean, he was phenomenal in the game. The expected goals against was 5.34 against Logan Thompson. I mean, it was incredible what he was doing, especially in that second period. But the Stars outshot Vegas 18-7 in the first and then 15-10 in the second period. I mean, how many odd man rushes can you have that you just cannot bury? And fortunately, we're talking about a win here, because if we were discussing a loss, it would have been, how many times do you have a chance to deliver the knockout blow and you can't? You can't blame anybody but yourself. And you got goalie too. But the Stars continued to just throw pucks on net, and what an overtime period as well. I thought Dallas looked a lot more comfortable in the game and what was going on within the game. They just seemed to adapt well in the third period when it just became really tidy and there wasn't a lot of space. They seemed comfortable in it. They were phenomenal defensively. They didn't give Vegas much of anything. And then in overtime, to keep the foot on the gas, Vegas was flat-footed. They were standing around. They were giving Dallas time and space, and they were just collapsing in. And all Dallas needed to do was get a shot through, create some havoc, or just Wyatt Johnston go beat everybody and call it a night. And he ended it with a beauty. But, I mean, a really, really well-played hockey game from the Stars. I mean, that first 30 minutes is some of the best hockey I've witnessed all year long. I mean, just time and time again, they were all over Vegas, and somehow they just could not extend the lead. They just could not get the third goal because Thompson was incredible. I mean, how many times can you have an odd man rush that doesn't result in anything, and then Vegas gets a couple of chances and they bury him? It was just like, man, the hockey gods are not in love with the Dallas Stars during this playoff run. And they were 0 for 2 on the power play. That was another thing that you didn't want to look back on and feel like you gave something away there. But I mean, credit to a lot of guys, but Wyatt Johnston, just an incredible night from the young man. And it's the Wyatt Johnston show on Locked On Stars once again. I would be remiss not to shout out Miro Heiskanen. He played his best game of the series. He was the best player on the sheet for most of the night. Just incredible work from Miro. He picks up a goal and assist. His game score was 6.41. I mean, phenomenal. And look who's behind him. Ryan Suter and then Thomas Harley. 3 out of your top 4 in game scores are defensemen. Just a real shutdown performance. Ryan Suter hasn't been talked enough either, and partially I'm to blame for that. He has been incredible. I'm sorry, he's been incredible. The Stars essentially are running 5D. Niels Lundqvist only had played just over 2 minutes heading into overtime, and I don't remember seeing him. Yeah, he finished with 221. Yeah, for the entire night. I don't think he saw the ice in the third period. Suter was great. I mean, Miro played 34 minutes, and he was going up against, top line, defensive zone draws, just having to be in those key situations. And Dallas just buckled down. It was good to see that they just buckled down. They played with some desperation. And even when they got punched, they finally punched back. And it all boils down to who was going to have that moment. Who the heck was going to step up? And it's Wyatt Johnston. And he steps up in a phenomenal way. And those are the type of moments you just have to have, because Thompson stole the show in the second period, and the Stars take game 3 in overtime. They outshot Vegas 46-34. They had 30 shots halfway through the hockey game in the 10-minute mark to go in the second period. But it's a full team, full lineup effort. And they get a couple of beauties. Heiskanen's goal in the second period was set up beautifully by Dadonov and Sagan. And just going back to the trios, I wasn't a huge fan of them, but man, Pete DeBoer made the right adjustments in game 3. He finally had them ready to go, and I don't know what it was, but they answered the bell. They answered the bell. They find themselves back in the series. It was a must-win. It was a must-win. You can't go down 3-0 to Vegas, and we all knew that. And yeah, I was sitting on the edge of my couch, just being nauseous the entire overtime period of what was transpiring. By the way, Jake Ottinger was great in OT. Don't forget about the 2 incredible stops he made late in the third period. One was on Hanifin in the dying seconds of regulation. He was great down the stretch. He was great in the moments they needed him to be, when he needed to shut it down. And Dallas picks up a much-needed win. Wow. What a hockey game. What a hockey game. And the Stars should have blown them out, but goaltending is a great equalizer. It's a great equalizer. And Thompson was incredible. But Stars take it by a final score of 3-2 in overtime. They now trail in the series 2-1. Game 4 on Monday night with a chance to tie the series coming back home. Alrighty, let's talk a bit more about the overtime win, and just plenty to kind of discuss in this one. Another late one, and it won't be as late on Monday, which is a good sign. So let's jump into some more convo about the OT thriller in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL, of course. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. Make some money this postseason while you're on the couch watching the Dallas Mavericks, while you're watching the Dallas Stars try to claw themselves back into the series with the Vegas Golden Knights. There are so many ways for you to get in. You have single game props. Of course, you can just take straight money line. You name it, they have it on FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. $150, win or lose. Stars fans, right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. So go ahead, make that first bet an automatic win. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is obsessed with finding you ways to save money on tickets. It's also the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to tip-off or puck drop in the NHL. You want to go to Game 5 of the Dallas Stars versus Vegas Golden Knights, because yes, we're at least going to 5 games in this series. You can use Game Time, and the great thing about Game Time is last minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports events. You got concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they have it on Game Time. They'll credit you 110% of the difference if you find seats in the same section and row for less. Game Time wants to take the guesswork out of buying tickets to that NBA game you're wanting to go to, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Well, I'm hoping the Stars found a recipe for success against the Vegas Golden Knights, because in the first two games, it just felt like whatever the Stars were throwing at them was not going to be enough. But Dallas played an impeccable road game. They were the best road team in the National Hockey League this season, and they certainly looked like it in game three. I mean, what an incredible game. Sometimes hockey is just a beautiful, beautiful spectacle. And that's what we got in game three in Vegas. And Dallas just did a ton of things that they had to do in order to be successful. And I mentioned it in the game three preview. You have to score first, get out to a lead. They finally had some insurance. They got up by 2, but they had that stretch in the middle of the second period, which was really curious. Kolesar and Ben get coincidental, so you play 4-on-4. I didn't love Duchesne and Pavelski as your forward pairing for 4-on-4. I don't understand how those two kind of lend to success. And Dallas hasn't been a good 4-on-4 team at all this entire year. And that was just a curious pairing, because it feels like you have all this open space. Maybe get Rope out there, or here's a wild idea. Get Stankoven and Johnston out there. Get that pairing out there. But it felt like they kind of wanted 4-on-4 to end, while Vegas tried to take advantage of it and use the space to their advantage. And then, of course, they cash in with the McNabb shot that gets through some bodies. Look like Lindell provided the screen. It's a good shot as well to beat Ottinger. But you have a miscommunication with Pavelski and Duchesne as they went to close out, and then they both go the same way. It's like that just cannot happen. You can't allow Vegas to get back in the game, essentially, in which they did. And at the end of the day, it did not come back to bite them, but the margins are razor thin. And that should be something you should be able to lock down. But you have that miscommunication, and then you go to power play. You have a chance to get it back, and then Rope can't elevate, and then it goes the other way. And then, of course, Eichel buries it shorthanded in that little 6-minute sequence, and all of a sudden it's a tie hockey game. But they responded well, and for the most part in this series, I've loved their response after being scored on. They're the better team most of the time when they give up a blow, and they were excellent in the third for the most part. I mean, they really limited Vegas's chances. I mean, just looking at the chances at 5-on-5, I mean, Stars were incredible. 5 scoring chances in the first for VGK, 7 and 8 for the second and third periods. I mean, at 5-on-5, the Stars were incredible. It's when the numbers got switched where things went a bit haywire there. And unfortunately, Rope just wasn't able to elevate, and I thought this would have been a game he could have really just shown out. I'm curious to see if he's injured. There's times where he doesn't have the giddy up, or he's just disengaged. There was a puck in front of the Vegas bench. I want to say it was in the third period, and it was kind of a 50-50 puck, and it was Pietrangelo and him, and it just seemed like he gave up on it and turned towards the bench to change. And look, it was a good time to change. I'm not faulting him for that, but it just feels like maybe he's fighting something. And it's not a huge knock on his game overall, because, I mean, he had some incredible setups in the game. He set up Johnston in overtime. I mean, the Sagan setup he had in the second period, he had the incredible succulent saucer pass to Lindell in the second period as well. He made some excellent plays in the game. Unfortunately, the Stars couldn't cash in. But it feels like he's a step behind, right? He's just a step slow, and maybe it's just instinctual, and maybe he's not fighting anything. I'm just curious, because it just doesn't feel like it's all there with him. But he played an overall solid game. Great to get Joe Pavelski off that top line. He had not been able to come up with anything in the first 2 games. You put Johnston on that line, and then you have an immediate impact. I mean, immediately at the drop of the puck in game 3, getting Pavelski off that line. You play him with Ben, which I know was a bit of a concern with me, but they played a little bit more downhill with Duchesne, and they looked okay in the contest. I'd be curious to see what the scoring chances were in the game. But if you look at the Corsi percentages, Pavelski played with Sagan and Dodonov, not Ben and Duchesne. Stankoven, of course, played with Duchesne and Ben. 75 Corsi for percentage for the Duchesne line. They ended up with 13 scoring chances. Look, the Johnston line, 16 scoring chances in the games. And Sagan's line had 11 respectively. I mean, Sagan's going to be having nightmares about Logan Thompson. He played one of his best games of the year, too. It was great to see him in full flight a couple of times and make some incredible plays defensively. And that goes for a lot of the Dallas forward group in the first period and some change in the second. They were working their tails off, their bag off to get back, get sticks in lanes, to just foul up Vegas enough. And they forced the Golden Knights to go through layers of defense. If they got past one, there was another white sweater there. That is how they're going to have success against this Vegas team moving forward. Just constantly pressuring and constantly forcing Vegas to earn every single inch of ice. We're going to pressure you. If you're not flawless, if you're not crisp, you're going to have a sweater on you that's pressuring you, forcing you into a turnover. Contest every single line. Contest the blue line. Contest the red line. Contest the end line. I mean, contest every single piece of the sheet. The gap control from Tanev and Miro was excellent in the game. They really held some of the best lines for Vegas in check, besides really that top line. I mean, Eichel's so good. Every time he has the puck on his stick, you get nervous watching Eichel go to work. But the trios, the new look lines were great. I mean, Johnston is a cheat code with Robertson and hence it just unlocks Robo's game because he doesn't have to necessarily be the driver, with Rope just being a bit off here. And I really enjoyed watching Duchesne and Ben play. Dodonov looked actually really nice in the game. I will show him some love. I wanted Bork to be in the lineup. I really did, but I can admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong on that one for sure. I thought Dodonov played a great game, and all the lines look good. Along with the fourth line, they just played over 11 minutes. They were key in overtime too. They played quite a bit in overtime, and they played in the offensive zone. They just wore down Vegas. I think all that work they did in the first period, they really benefited from in overtime. Because yes, Vegas got back in the game, but it took a lot for them, I think, physically and emotionally to get that game tied. But all the work they did in the first half of the game paid dividends in overtime because Vegas just looked tired. They all they could do was get to the red line and get off. And Dallas took control of that. And that fourth line, I think, was a real integral part of what they did in OT, just getting the puck in deep, hammering the forecheck, and just constantly forcing Vegas to defend. And then you get a turnover that goes your way. And then Wyatt Johnston does what Wyatt Johnston does. I mean, what a shot. Wow. I mean, there is your moment, Stars fans, from Wyatt Johnston. By the way, incredible little goal in the first period through his legs. Woo! He is something special. He is something special. It's truly a pleasure getting to watch him night in and night out. All right. Dallas needs to do it one more time. Let's do it one more time, Stars fans. Coming back home in game 5. Series tied at 2. Let's go do it again. Let's jump into some conversation about game 4 here in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you can work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. You have unique stickers you can trade for with friends, complete albums for big prizes. You got cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends, and you can steal all their riches as well. So you can work with them, but you can also steal some of their money. Plus, Monopoly Go, it feels new. It's exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure, or you have a robot pachinko machine, and there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frisbees. So there's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. Go right now to the Google Play Store or App Store. It's free to download. Over 150 million times it's been downloaded because Monopoly Go is so fun. So get off the bench, go and download it now. It's free on the Google App Play or App Store. Game on, Stars fans. Alrighty, so game 4, we do have a game time, by the way, for Monday night, if you did not hear, 8:30 Central Standard Time, so it'll be around a 9 o'clock puck drop. Man, it was a late one, and of course it goes to overtime. I mean, I don't think we dropped the puck until 9:55. It's brutal. It is brutal, but Dallas is victorious just past 1 o'clock in the morning. And of course, I'm bringing you my live reaction. I'm sure many of you have already hit the hay and you'll be listening to this in the morning. So happy Sunday, Stars fans. And Dallas is right back in the series, which is a good sign. What a goal from Wyatt Johnston. I mean, oh, wowza. That is special stuff. And good to see. But Dallas has a chance to really repeat what they did in game 3. There is a ton to build off of. If you're Vegas, you have to be feeling like, man, we got away with even being in that hockey game. A few things here and there go the other way, and I mean, it's a rout. It's 5-0 with 8 minutes to play in the second period. And it's basically a foregone conclusion what was going to happen. I think they found a recipe for success and up front. They have a recipe to beat Vegas, but they also have the personnel to do it. Unfortunately, Radek, Faksa, and Mason Marchment were not able to go, but even if they are healthy enough to go for you in game 4, keep Johnston with Robo and Hintz. You can add Faksa to that fourth line, maybe take Deli out, Steele out, you name it. Even though I thought Delandria was really, really great in the game. I mean, every component of that fourth line was. You have the ability to have Pav play with Sagan, and maybe you put Marchment on that line instead of Dadonov. Dadonov can drop back to the fourth line. If Marchment's able to go, you can put Duchesne, Marchment, and Ben, which I think would be very, very intriguing. That is a formidable line that can do a little bit of everything. Got some skill, just got some grit. Marchment can be your F1, just banging bodies. Would love to have Marchment back because he was so great in the first 2 games of this series. But you have the recipe. Like, you have to constantly have Vegas on their heels. You can't let them have time and space. When they're in the game, you can just feel that when they're controlling the pace. And in moments of that third period, you could tell Vegas slowed it down and they were kind of dictating the play. Dallas just cannot be on their heels waiting for stuff to come, waiting for things to happen. And that was what I loved about game 3. They just seemed to transition the mindset of, no, we're going to force the issue. We're going to start earning some of those bounces. We're going to start earning some of that luck. And that leads to good things. It led to all those chances. Unfortunately, you weren't able to bury them, but the way they played earned them all those takeaways, all those giveaways and opportunities on net. Unfortunately, Thompson just kept them in the ball game till the very bitter end. But that's the Dallas Stars team we saw for the majority of the regular season. And it was also just a much different feel. I pointed this out on Twitter, by the way. Follow Locked On Stars on Twitter. You can follow me, Joey the Jet 19. The way they played in the first period was a lot different than games 1 and 2. Even when they were playing well, is where I'm trying to get at. And games 1 and 2, when they were out playing Vegas, it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like the first half of game 3. That is a Dallas Stars team that's playing well. Not what we saw in game 2 and game. Okay, that's a bit harsh. They played well, but that wasn't them at their best, right? I don't think that was them at their best, where Vegas was just kind of hanging around, and they hung around in the game 2, but it wasn't because of anybody in gold. Well, it was, but it was the guy in the crease. I mean, he was the only reason. You look at the game scores, Thompson is the only one that's above a 3, and you only had one forward for Vegas that was above in the positive numbers, and that was Eichel. Everybody else was negative because they were certainly not helping their netminder for most of the game. But that makes them dangerous at the same time. Like, they can just kind of hang around, and when they execute, when they get their looks, they capitalize every single time. You would love Otter to just make a save here and there on some of those great looks. But that's hockey at the same time, man. You can punch. Everything's going your way, and then it ends up in the back of your net. It is infuriating. It's demoralizing sometimes, but it makes those overtime winners oh so special. And that was our moment. That was our moment, Stars fans. And hopefully not the only one. We need a lot more moving forward. Stars are right back in the series. They win game 3, 3-2 in overtime. Wyatt effing Johnston, baby. Wyatt Johnston, spectacular fashion for the kid. He scores twice. Stars win. They trail in the series 2-1 heading into game 4 on Monday night. Puck drop scheduled for 8:30 in that one in the Fortress. Stars have a recipe. Time to replicate it and keep it going. I leave you with this nugget today, Stars fans. Wyatt Johnston becomes the youngest player in Stars/North Stars history to score an overtime goal in the playoffs, surpassing Steve Ott, who was 21 years of age, 237 days in game 3 of the 2004 conference quarterfinals. So Wyatt Johnston continues to etch himself in the history books, and with every point and goal moving forward in the postseason, he'll probably continue to knock down some records. Wow. Great to come on here and talk some winning hockey, right, Stars fans? It was nice. It was bleak there for the first 2 episodes, I admit, but hey, they played with desperation, and kudos for them. Kudos to them just gutting it out and just battling through. And what almost felt like a night was, okay, that's just the hockey gods are just not going to be on your side, but they forced the hockey gods. They forced their hand and picked up a win. Great stuff. Alrighty, that'll do it for today's episode. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. By the way, sport's been phenomenal. I mean, you guys have been absolutely killing it And I know some of you hate what I have to say half the time, but that's okay. We're going to ride this emotional roller coaster of the postseason together, all the wins, all the losses. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, please be able to subscribe, hit that notification bell, never miss an episode. And we'll be back. We'll be back on Monday, Game 4, Stars versus Knights. Hopefully Dallas can pick up another win, and boom, we're tied coming home. Have a great weekend, Stars fans. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. So long, Stars fans.